Today we're going to do something really different from what I've done so far, which is have a tasting of two different wines. The two different wines, there is a very clear reason why. It's because the first one is so damaged that truly, of course, I can share with you the bad experience I've had with this bottle. Nevertheless, I'd like to finish on a positive note. You would understand. So let's start with the first one and then I'll come to the second one. So the first one is in the decanter. And usually I don't decant old wines. This is a very old wine, by the way. The reason why I decanted it is because it's flawed. It's flawed. It's, to me, it's not yet a vinegar, but it's on the way to become a vinegar maybe someday, soon. So I wanted to give it a chance and try to find something in it because it is one of the best wines. It's considered as one of the best wines in the world. So we're talking about Chateau Petrus 1947. Petrus 1947 belongs to the myth of the greatest wine on our earth. And many critics, starting of course with Robert Parker, but others have agreed that Petrus 1947 is probably one of the top, maybe 3, 4, 5 wines in the world. So 1947 is probably the best year on the right bank, and especially on the Pomerol appellation. And Petrus, Latour, Cheval Blanc, 47, all three belong to the top 5. So you can imagine the level of quality that we are talking about. And even today, a good bottle of Petrus 1947 might give you such a pleasure that it's beyond your imagination. So I got this bottle, which is a trader bottle. So it is not a mise en bouteille au Chateau. So it has not been bottled at the estate, but by a dealer. And I have no clue who this dealer is, but my guess is many of the Petrus at that time were bottled in Belgium. And the level was relatively low, at the level of the bottom shoulder, so to speak. And when I opened it, the cork broke. And because the cork broke and I put my nose in it, not that it had any sense of cork, but it was smelling like ethanol. So I decided to decant it and to filter it so that I don't end up with the damage of the wine plus pieces of cork. And here it is, close to 24 hours later. Big disappointment. Why? Because, disappointment is the difference between what your expectation is and the result. So expectation is high and the result is low. So, but let me taste it with you in front of you and give it one more chance, because it's such a shame that this wine deserves a second chance. So let's do it, the regular way. Let's start with the color. The color is, by the way, not a disappointment. The color is beautiful. The color is brown with some reddish, and it is relatively clear. It's transparent to some extent. It's a beautiful color. So, color-wise, you can't say much. at this point that makes you believe that you're gonna be disappointed. Then the nose is a mix. We start, getting into the gray zone. It's a mix because you feel some kind of medicinal scent, but at the same time you have this nuts, a bit nutty, and coffee, really roasted coffee powder. When you go into coffee shop and they are really preparing the coffee. So far, I say the nose is a sign of hope. Now, let's drink it one more time. It's quite surprising because if I could take my scissors and cut my impressions into two pieces and put one in a drawer, the other one in a drawer. One in a drawer, let's start with this one, would be like going to the vinegar way, acid, without the fuzziness and the sparkling side of the vinegar. It's not, punching your tongue, but it is the acidity that's a sign of a flawed wine. On the other side, there are some really interesting notes, especially the first half second of the skin contact with the wine, which is really incredibly sharp and incredibly good, but it lasts like half a second, not even. And then it starts the melt between those two, the image of the two drawers that get together because really it's difficult to separate them very clearly. And you have this mixed feeling of, on one hand, something that you want to catch up behind because this is what you like, and the other side, which is the way it is going to somewhere that you don't like. So at the end, it's a mixed impression. And now when you start to melt everything, you have some tannins that comes in, but the fruit is faded and the acid side is speaking high and loud. So that was the first bottle. Now, because I was so disappointed with this bottle and I really wanted to share it with you very clearly, because Petrus 1947 has been a dream, I opened another bottle, which is Latour, Chateau Latour 1955. So we are close in age, we are still in the Bordeaux region. It is another big estate that has such a great reputation. But the only thing is that the level of the bottle was very low, which is right on top of the label, which is really below shoulder, low shoulder. So it's a bigger risk maybe than the 47. And now I'm gonna have a sip of water just to wash a little bit the mouth. And then come to this wine. So, Grand Vin du Château Latour, mise en bouteille au château, estate bottled. Low level, very low level. What's really surprising is the cork, which came entire, immense, no end. I was really starting to wonder when I will eventually end up taking it out of the bottle. And I can express some level of satisfaction. I can tell you, and this might happen to you, when you open an old bottle's cork and you get till the end, it's a great moment. This is maybe the start of a hope. So now let's judge. I'd love to judge this wine with you and give you my impression. The first thing is that when you pour it, the color is Bordeaux. It really deserves the name of Bordeaux, which became, by the way, an expression of color nowadays. The color is dark, which makes me believe that this wine had 1955. They probably picked the grapes at a very high mature level with a lot of extraction, and this is almost a black wine. It almost reminds me of the very old Petrus of the 20s that I've discovered a few weeks ago, and still has a lot of red component in the color. The rim is orange, not quite brown. So the color is very surprising. Very surprising. Now the first notes, just after pouring the wine in the glass, goes more into not much on fruit, truly. No much fruit, but other stuff, other things, such as dried fruits, so not the fresh fruits, but even the fruits, the regular fruits that you can imagine, the red fruits, the black fruits, seems a little bit macerated, not hand-picked, and a touch of coffee, but you know, this mild coffee that sometimes not too roasted, and sense of herbs and flowers. It's actually developing very nicely. So now when you start moving all this world of molecules in the glass, you can have maybe now a little bit of cousinage between the two wines, as the side of the tartaric acid start flowing out of the glass. What I love really to judge when I judge, I'm not a judge, but to really explain in terms of the perception, is really how the wine lands in the palate. You probably have had, be in a plane, and sometimes you might say, when a plane is landing, sometimes it lands smoothly, but sometimes it has bumps. This one is like a big plane that is landing very smoothly, so much that you can't even notice the landing. So the first touch on the mouth is very smooth, kind of leathery, but a Connolly leather, the greatest type of leather that you could see in big, nice limousines, probably a British limousine, and it is extremely soft and very welcoming. It's a wine that invites you to go and get the true understanding that's behind this first touch. But this first touch is extremely important. If you miss it, you probably miss a big piece of this particular bottle. Then it really develops in the mouth, and you see this acidity all of a sudden that was not apparent at all, probably in contrast with the Petrus, and maybe not, maybe just by itself, it starts flowing into the word of this wine, which is this acidity is more, picking, it's more waking you up in this atmosphere of softness, of silkiness, and what's really surprising for a wine that is 65 years old is the tannins. I mean, the tannins are still noticeable, but not you don't need to think a lot or to try to dig into your mouthful. They're here. They're very active still, and give to this wine a lot of this powdery silkiness, this softness, and a very long length in the mouth that tends to go more on the dried fruits, more on the nuts, more on the maybe coffee than on the fruit. So really a great wine. A big disappointment on my left, on your right. Great surprise, but that's what the life of old wine is about. Plenty of surprises, good or bad, but at the end, there's always something to learn about what you're tasting. So cheers and see you soon.